Yeah.
We've just got to understand this organism, this body that I live inside and you live inside, has a perfect pace. And if I can be tuned into my body, tuned into my thoughts, tuned into my feelings, and if I was just every now and again go, hang on, let me stop, pause, take a breath, just step back and go, hang on just a sec, you're getting a bit racy here. Give it a little bit more time. Because the faster I go, the less dexterity I have. The faster I go, the more likely I am to make mistakes. The faster I go, I fail to see or hear or find or feel opportunities to do things the way I want to do them.